What up, my people? Welcome to the League Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Shane Newman. Joining me on this episode, former teammate, former opponent, fellow lefty, big league pitcher for about 9 years with multiple clubs, most notably with the Pittsburgh Pirates. From the state of Mississippi, Mr. Paul Maholm. Paul, man, what's going on with you?
What's up, Shug? How you been?
Been good, man. Just back on the road, riding the bus again, man. Coaching in this MLB draft league. So bringing back some memories, passing through some of these New York Penn League stadiums that we once played in. Just seeing them now. Some of them are a lot better. Some of them are the same. And it's just been cool being back on the East Coast in Pennsylvania, visiting some of the old stadiums and being back around the game.
I'm sure those are some positive and some negative memories that you got on the buses, but it's always cool to see some of them, see some of the cities that support so many great teams.
Definitely, man. It's different. Like I said, Williamsport, which we both played, it's been newly renovated over the last couple of years, so it's real nice over there. I'm actually in State College, which was a stadium that was built around the time we were playing AA in Altoona. So there's a couple of nice little parks within the league, and like I said, you passing through those towns bring back memories and all of that stuff, man. So it's been cool thus far. But this ain't about me, bro. This is about you. So we're gonna shed some light on your career and how you got there, and talk about everything in between. But how's the family, man? How's everything going out your way?
We're good. We're just home in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and got a 13-year-old and a 5-year-old, and 13-year-old's going to 8th grade. He's playing soccer. So right now he's in the heat of the soccer camp from 8 a.m. to about 8 p.m. for the next couple of days. And my 5-year-old's at zoo camp, so my house is kind of quiet right now.
You must be liking that, huh?
Yeah.
So, man, you was born and raised in Holly Springs, or did you move away from Holly Springs? I see Holly Springs and then Greenwood. But where did you grow up most of your time?
So I was technically just born in Greenwood, but my family was always in Holly Springs. So that's where my grandmother lived. So I was just born there, but I never lived there. So Holly Springs is my town. Got you.
Trying to clarify some things. And I know you went to high school in Tennessee. We'll dive into that a little bit later. But since we're on the topic and we both pitchers, man, a lot of stuff going on in Major League Baseball with the foreign substances and all of that stuff that they're claiming pitchers are using to doctor the baseball and improve spin rate and all of that stuff, man. What's your take on that with the state of baseball and when it comes to the foreign substance right now?
I think there's something that they should come up with for a pitcher to use. I think the fact that baseball is varied from game to game, from ball to ball, that there should definitely be some basic stuff you should be able to use to get a grip as a pitcher and be confident you can throw the ball. Do I think they've probably taken it too far? Yeah. I mean, the old saying, you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. So they're I think they're trying to constantly figure something out to do. But, I use stuff. I use sunscreen rosin. I use some shaving cream rosin, just chewed gum. It literally depended on what stadium you're in, the state of the balls, and whatever. I never use pine tar. I never use, anything over the top. But, to me, some of them are cue balls. So as a pitcher, you want to feel confident enough to be able to throw a pitch. Like I said, do I think that they've probably taken it too far? And I never knew what a spin rate was when I was pitching.
No,
I knew what an out was. So yeah. Out's an out. That's all I thought about. So I think, like I said, they're just kind of taking it a little too far.
Yeah, I've heard stories, man. And I first heard about it. Hopefully I'm not throwing nobody under the bus, but our former teammate, Rajay Davis, who's working for Major League Baseball right now, he asked me a question about the baseball and stuff like that. And he actually told me they were trying to figure out, what guys were using and how it can be combated or make the playing field a little even to benefit the pitcher as well as the hitter when it comes to all of that. But I think we all use something to an extent coming up, man. You mentioned the shaving cream and rosin, the sunscreen and rosin. Some stadiums, whether or not if the air was real dry, that means your hands will dry out pretty good. And we both know the baseballs, every time we got a baseball, we needed to rub it up because it was real slick. So a lot of factors play into that. And if those guys are using it for an advantage to get that spin rate up or what have you, or to make the pitches break a little bit more, then we need to do something about it. But if it's solely for the grip, then I got to respect that. I'm a pitcher, you're a pitcher. We're going to side with those guys. But we know something else is going on. We don't know what it is, but it's remained to be seen. But I want to get your take on that, man, because it is a big time subject in baseball right now.
I tweeted a few things out the other day, and obviously offense is down. I think it's more of a philosophy change from pitchers. Hey, I'm going to throw hard, and that's going to get me to the big leagues. I'll learn how to pitch later. So if you throw 98, 99, and you don't know where it's going, you're going to hit more guys. Yeah, you might have some punch outs, but hitters are not making the adjustments either. So it's like obviously some hitters are complaining about pitchers using this. It's because it's become pretty blatant on pitchers just rubbing it in their face.
Yeah.
That's like one of those things like, the other thing I tweeted out the other day was, a hitter gets batting gloves, pine tar, shields on every piece of their body. They're comfy in there. As a pitcher, it's like, oh, you got some rosin. Have you ever actually just used a rosin bag only? Like, I know some guys do and they like it. Great. But like I said, there's something that should be able to be done to make everybody happy. I think right now is a knee-jerk reaction by the MLB, because if you read it correctly, they're not supposed to have sunscreen, shaving cream, anything in the clubhouse anymore.
That's crazy.
Because it says if the club's responsible, and if any of these items are in the clubhouse, you're responsible. So now you're telling me that nobody can spray sunscreen on?
And shave?
Yeah. So, I get it. They should figure out, all the other stuff they're using, but, like I said, it got bad because I think pitchers are rubbing it in the face of how they've done stuff.
Yeah. Guys are more out front with it, but it's crazy, man, for it to be that way. And you never know. Sunscreen and rosin was the thing, and that shit, I don't think that should be banned as well as the shaving cream. But if it's some other stuff that's being made or those guys are doing themselves, then we need to police that. But the other couple things that were allowed, back when we played and even recently, I think they should keep that in the game to help those guys command their pitches and do whatever else they need to do to be successful on a baseball field. But man, switching gears, I think that's a touchy subject for the both of us. I had to get your take on it. But talking about you, obviously you battled and you said an out's an out and you all about getting outs. That's why you were able to have a successful big league career. Talk about how that all started, man. How did you get into sports, baseball in general? I know you played a little golf too as a youngster, but how did you get into to playing baseball? It was in Holly Springs, just a group of buddies. We got together as 9-year-olds. I was the youngest one always. And we played together from the time we were 9 to the time we were, 14, pretty much stayed together. We got to be good in the rec league and kind of ruined the rec league because people stopped showing up. So then we had to start traveling around. And we just kind of stuck together. And a couple of us played in SE2 from a small town. And it was something to do with buddies. And I started pitching, and I was horrendous to start. Like my old coach, he's passed away, but he was like, he couldn't hit a mattress if he tried when he started. So, it's something that I took and I enjoyed. And I just, we would be in the summer, like right now, we would be at his house. He had a batting cage, pitching mound, and a bunch of land. And we had a lake. We spent time together and played baseball from the time we woke up to the time we went to sleep. And that was
it was fun, and I just challenged myself to get better as a pitcher. And I never thought in a million years I'd be where I got to be. But later, once I got 15, 16, I started noticing people watching, and then I started, just dialing in on that only and trying to work and get better each and every day.
Got you, man. So you didn't start playing ball till you was 9?
Well, I mean, that's whenever we actually started like getting serious. I mean, I played T-ball, but I mean,
gotcha.
I was a kid chasing fireflies or whatever, butterflies. I wasn't the one that was dropping bombs as a 6-year-old and stuff.
Yeah, I got you. So you was out there being distracted. Hey, you could be distracted by just about anything, just going out there burning off some energy, man. But to say that and to also share that based on how you started, and we know the old adage, it ain't how you start, it's how you finish. But starting out as a ball player, pitching, you said you were terrible, and your coach even admitted you were terrible. But you put it into your mindset that you were going to work hard to be the best that you could possibly be, and it led you to some big time things. Obviously, going through the youth age of playing ball all the way up into high school, moving over to Mississippi. I mean, sorry, not Mississippi, but Tennessee, and starting at your high school out there led you to get an opportunity to play at Mississippi State. But talk about some of those things leading up into when you started to turn a corner as a pitcher. You saw yourself getting better. You saw yourself being able to compete and be consistently good. Talk about those times when you started to see that.
Well, I mean, I think it just started with playing different sports, being with a group of buddies that were all competitive. I'm a little brother. My brother's 3.5 years older than me. I played with his friends, got kicked around pretty good in different sports. And, it's one of those ones where you just want to get better. You want to get better. And doing that created a mindset to whenever I started getting, 10, 11, 12, it's like, I don't care. I'm beating you. That's my mindset. I'm going to beat you. I don't care how it's going to happen, but I'm going to beat you. Whatever we're playing, pitching, whatever. And it just kind of, as you mature and get a little bit bigger and throw harder and start throwing different pitches and stuff like that. But I think for me, it was just, I love video game stuff, and I'm as competitive as can be whenever I play video games. But I was always outside and playing sports with friends or my brother's friends, and just being a competitor just made me want to get better at baseball and pitching and learning stuff. Watching Tom Glavine was my favorite player growing up, so watching him pitch and seeing his demeanor on the mound was a big thing for me. As I got older, as I got into high school, as I got into college, and once I got into pro ball, just that was the biggest thing for me was demeanor. Like, don't ever let the other team know where you're at. You could be down 5 or you could be up 5, but it's me and you, and I'm gonna beat you.
No doubt. I think that's what led you to have that success, man. Just having that bulldog mentality, and you were a Mississippi State Bulldog, so it all came together. But talking about that coming up and playing those multiple sports, mentioning baseball, I know golf. Was there anything from an organized standpoint that you did or that you played? Was it football, basketball, soccer, anything like that also helped with your development?
I played basketball until 8th grade, and I tore my ACL, so I kind of just learned that baseball and golf was going to be my thing. But, I think golf's a great thing it was for me, just kind of a self-discipline, competitive mindset. It's a mental game. So I think that helped me a lot. And while I was hurt with ACL, I was able to play golf and get good at golf. So that's just kind of the two that I stuck with. I wasn't a big time. Played football in 5th and 6th grade and decided
shut that down.
Really wasn't me. So
I got you. So moving forward, getting into those teen years, when did you guys move? Because you did go to school in Tennessee, high school in Tennessee. Was that a family thing or just a baseball thing for you?
Well, see, I didn't move until just my senior year only.
Okay.
So I was in Marshall Academy, a small private school. And, that's where the group of buddies that, I started baseball with at, 8, 9 years old. We played together all the way through. And there was a few of us that transferred to Germantown. For me, it was more I already had scholarships, but I was going to graduate with about 38, 40 people.
Nobody.
So, which I loved Holly Springs. I love being there and around everybody, but I thought I was going to move to Germantown as a freshman, and my parents decided we weren't going to do it yet. And so then my senior year, I talked them into doing it, and I went to graduate with 750. So it was almost like I got to test myself, and almost like the campus at Germantown is almost like a college campus, small college. Yeah. So it was just a different atmosphere for me to be around all walks of life and not just my group of friends. It was me stepping in and not really knowing but a couple people that I played summer baseball with. So it was an eye opener, but it was something that I definitely think helped me along in college and moving on into pro ball.
No doubt, especially being from a small town, you hit the college campus, you're looking at about 30,000, 20,000 people that you're around on a daily basis. When did you transferring in? You said you went to school with a bunch of your buddies, and a few of them transferred over to Germantown with you as well. When did you started to see that, hey man, I have an opportunity to play this game or to even pitch at a high level, whether it be college, pro ball, or what have you? Around what time during your high school years did you started to see that happen?
I would probably say whenever I joined the Memphis Tigers, which is a big organization around Memphis. And whenever we were 16, we won the World Series in McKinney, Texas. And I started one of the early games, and I got to start the championship game for us. And that was kind of whenever scouts started, like pro scouts kind of started, I guess watching, and then I'd hear something every once in a while. And I was kind of like, oh, okay, cool. Maybe we'll turn it into, not a lot of people from Holly Springs moved on to, big colleges or anything like that. So, and then the next 2 years, I went on from this to the main 18-year-old team, and I was technically 16. I turned 17 late in the year, and so just always playing with older guys and getting to compete with them and keeping up and doing well. Probably 17 that summer, Mississippi State and a bunch of them started coming around. I had a decent amount of offers and just had to narrow it down. But kind of around then is when I noticed that I was going to be able to play a pretty good school in college.
Got you. What was your top five? Because I know a bunch of schools came around. We're not even talking about the pro scouts, which you said started looking when you pitched in that World Series. I know you passed up some coin coming out of high school to go to Mississippi State. We're gonna jump into that as well. But what was your top five, you would say, other than Mississippi State, for the schools that you were seriously interested in going to?
The ones that I was seriously interested in was Arkansas was one. I had a really good offer from Tennessee. I had talked to Miami and Clemson, but it was just tough for me I talked to Ole Miss. It was just one of those where if I got the offer from Mississippi State, it was going to be like, that was where I grew up loving, wanting to play, watched them all the time. And actually it was my least offer. So percentage wise,
they knew you really wanted to be there.
Yeah. So it was one of those where I got, I was fortunate enough that for my family to not really worry about the percentage of the scholarship. And I knew I was going to get to go to a great atmosphere with a great group of coaches. And I went through 2 coaching staffs. So I got to learn from a lot of different people while I was in college.
Yeah, played for a legend in Ron Polk for a little bit, and the rest was history moving forward from that, man. And then playing in the SEC, especially the Western Division, was tough back then. Everybody was stacked and talented when it comes to that division, and then the conference as a whole. But man, you're going through that, you're having that success, you're starting to grow as a ball player, as a pitcher, and mature. And we're talking about the colleges and opportunities that you had there, but you were also drafted out of high school and was offered a nice chunk of change. Who drafted you? When did they draft you? And how were you able to pass up that amount of money and go to college?
So the Twins drafted me. Pre-draft, they'd offered me the first pick. I think it was the first or second pick in the second round. And they asked me if I would sign, and I told them my number. And it wasn't exactly what they were offering, and it wasn't much more. But I just told them, and they said, okay, well, we'll see. So then I actually left for my senior trip the day of the draft. I stuck around for about 4 rounds, and I was like, man, I'm not getting drafted. So I was like, we were driving from Germantown to Destin for a senior trip. I was like, I'm leaving. So I'm about halfway to Destin. I get a phone call, and it's the Twins, and it was the 17th round. And so I was like, okay, cool. I was like, I'll be in touch with you later. So I'm going to be out of pocket for about a week. I need to go just relax and get away from baseball.
Yeah.
And so then we go all summer, and I'd already signed with Mississippi State. And I didn't know if I was going to play that summer because I was burnt out. I just didn't know what I wanted to do at that point. And so I got that week just to kind of be around buddies and not play baseball. And then I got the itch, and I was like, I came back. I'm like, all right, I'm going to play summer ball. Well, then every start I made, Coach Raffo and Coach Case from Mississippi State were essentially still scouting me. They're like, we're going to be here. And I'm like, after a few of them, I'm like, hey, we're good. Let's just, y'all go do whatever. Obviously, we're playing in big tournaments. So they were scouting other players, but it was fun because I got to know them really well that summer. And so then we get to the very end. Back then there wasn't a date you had to sign.
Yeah, exactly.
Then it was, you walk into class, you're in class. If you don't go to class, you can still sign. So then we go, and I move into Starkville, into my dorm, about a week, 5 days or so early. I was like, I'm not signing. I'm gonna be here. So then the day before classes start, here comes the Twins. The old, let's throw it at him at the very end and see if we can get it.
See what's that.
Yeah. So they came in and made the same offer they made pre-draft, and I actually agreed to sign.
Ooh.
And my mom was in town, and she wanted me to go to college. A lot of people were saying, I couldn't pass up the money. And so I agreed to sign. We went out to dinner that night, and I took her to a hotel room. I went back to my dorm, not a bit of sleep. Couldn't sleep. Just knew it was the wrong decision. I'd already called Coach McMahon, Coach Case, Coach Raff, told them I was signing. They were kind of crushed. So then I woke up the next morning, didn't say anything to anybody. I was supposed to be meeting a scout to sign. And I go to my mom's hotel room. I said, hey, you can go ahead and head home. I said, I'm going to class. And so she was pumped because that's what she wanted me to do.
Yeah.
So then I had to call Coach Case and Coach Raff and Coach Mack and be like, hey, you know what I said last night? I'm just playing. I'm here. And so, they were happy.
Yeah.
And then Coach Raff, who was the recruiting guy and the hitting coach, he's scrambling because my class doesn't start till like 10. He's like, hey, you want to get in the 8 a.m. class? Like, you want me to switch you around so you can go to, I'm like, no, Raph, just let me
how it is.
Let me be a college student now. Because once I walk in there, I'm here. And so I had to call the scout back and break him the news. But I saw him a few times throughout my college career, and he understood. And in the end, it was stressful. I would just turned 18, and you don't know what you want at that point in life. So, yeah. But I'm pumped, and I met my wife in college. I learned a lot. I grew as a person. I don't think I would have survived if I just wasn't at that point as an 18-year-old kid to go into the minor leagues.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I didn't pass up that much money, but I was in a similar situation going to LSU. Same thing around the end of the summer, I get a decent offer based on the round I was drafted in. The only difference with me is I didn't have any classes when I first stepped on campus. You were settled in. I was scrambling to get a place to stay, get into classes, so on and so forth. So I know what that's like when you come to making a life-changing decision. And you said you didn't think you were mature enough at 18, being from a small town, only having slight exposure by playing in the tournament back in McKinney, Texas, and traveling a little bit with the Memphis team that you played with, and then going to Germantown your senior year. So that I don't think that's enough to fully make that decision to become a man if you sign that pro contract and you're on your own now. So you made that decision, man. I remember, when we played you guys in the SEC out in Starkville, You on a mound. I think you may have started that Saturday game and everybody was talking, hey, man, this man just passed up this amount of money. Like, what? How do you do that? So, but you bet on yourself. You had a successful career at State. Played for some legendary coaches. Like you said, you matured, you grew, you probably learned how to pitch even better. And 3 years later, 2003, which was a crazy draft, you had some dogs in that draft, man, that year. You go in the first round to the Pirates. Was that decision easy at the time?
Oh, yeah, that one was easy. It's funny because I didn't know where I was. I knew I was going to be a first-round pick, but I talked to every team from like number 2 through whatever, most of the teams behind. And I got a bunch of phone calls that morning from teams that were later in the draft, like, hey, good luck. You ain't going to be here when we get whenever, we're picking. So just good luck.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I really heard from the Pirates. So I was, it was funny. I'm at my girlfriend at the time, my wife now, we're at her apartment because my other roommates were a chance of getting drafted. So I didn't want us all to be on top of each other.
Yeah.
And this was back in dial-up internet days.
Yeah.
So
it's slow.
Yeah. So no TV shows, no nothing. So you're listening to the draft and we're listening to it on the computer and it gets to number 5, I think. Internet gone. So I don't know who's drafting. I don't know who's getting picked. And so then all of a sudden I get a phone call and it's the Pirates and, did everything. And again, it was a long year. It was, I pitched well, but I'd thrown a bunch of innings and I kind of wanted some time off, before I got on the grind of, I knew it was going to be a grind in the minor leagues. And
yeah.
So I told my agent, I said, hey, I've got vacation planned from like the end of June for like 10 days. I said, July 9th, whatever they're offering, we're taking. So I said, you can do whatever you want between now and then and get the price up. So I don't care. I said, but July 9th, I'm signing because I want to. It was one of those ones where you want to sign in time to get with that short season. So go to Williamsport. So we came to terms and got signed up and headed to big city of Bradenton and for a few days and went up to Williamsport.
Yeah, man. Bradenton, Florida, Williamsport, PA, man. Like I said, bring back some memories when you're talking about the minor leagues and the grind. I mean, obviously it was easy. It could have been difficult, but being an 8th overall pick, I mean, how much negotiating can you do? How much more money could you make? You had already increased your stock by going to school for 3 years, and you were mature as a pitcher pitching in the SEC, which was equivalent to playing AA when you add the aluminum bats. So Pirates knew what they were getting. You knew what you were getting as far as compensation for signing, and it was easy, but what probably wasn't easy was going down to Bradenton, super hot, staying in Pirate City. Those dawns were terrible back then. And then going off to Williamsport, Pennsylvania, which playing in the SEC, flying everywhere, getting the best of the best, super downgrade, man. So speak on your first reaction to being a professional baseball player.
Obviously going to Bradenton, yeah, I mean, it's an eye opener because then you're around, you go to Bradenton in the summer, you're around anywhere from 16-year-old, kids from out of the, from different countries to guys that have been there for 3 or 4 years or guys rehabbing or whatnot, just trying to make it. So I went down there and I knew I was going to Williamsport. So you had to go down there and just kind of get, throw and make sure you're still healthy and get sent out. So, but it also gives you that mindset of, I don't want to come back here, so I better go pitch good.
Yeah.
So then I go to Williamsport, which was an eye opener. Everybody's like, "Oh, you're from Mississippi," rednecks. I'm like, "There's rednecks in every state in this country now." So
yes,
Williamsport, there's some great people, some interesting people. I got there, and you're in short season. Uniform selection ain't very good. No. So I got there late. So I was like, hey, this is what we got. So I got some like painted on pants and like a huge jersey, the only one that would fit. I look like, whatever. I mean, you're the first round pick. You think you're supposed to get something, but they can humble you pretty quick.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh,
and so then it was just, after that for me, it was just baseball. I mean, you had to get used to, how many ever games were in a homestand and traveling and going to hotels, and you're in the Penn League, you're staying some different hotels.
Oh yeah.
And you ain't staying in no Ritz or even like a normal Holiday Inn Express. So it's definitely something that helps you grow as a person.
Definitely. I mean, it's a grind. Only the strong survive when it comes to that. But it humbled you coming from a big time program like Mississippi State, being a first rounder, thinking that, maybe I may get treated a little bit differently. Nah, here's the uniform that we have available. This is what you got to take. And let's go out there and be successful on the pitcher's mound. Take care of your body, do all the things that you need to do to produce on the field and become a big leaguer. Fortunately for you, maybe you use that as motivation because you're on a fast track to the major leagues. Man, you signed in 03, made your debut in 05. There was some pitfalls or some peaks and valleys along the way. But after that first year in Williamsport, go to instructional league, do your thing there, and then you jump a level and go straight to Lynchburg, right? You don't go to low A. You're with me, we're teammates, Zach Duke, a bunch of guys, Vic Butler, a bunch of guys on that team in Lynchburg. Nothing to do, another small town, right? Another small town with not much to do. So all we could do was focus on playing baseball. You're putting together a good year, man, and you have this, you face with some adversity in the game I think we were playing the Winston-Salem team.
Yeah.
And I remember the name, Casey Rogowski, I believe it was. It's a screamer right back at you, man, that you're not able to put any leather on, and you're caught with that setback by getting hit with that baseball in the eye and breaking that orbital bone and broken nose and suffering a concussion, man. Scary moment. I'm sitting in a bullpen on that same team, ambulance having to come out and take you off the field. I'm the guy that came in after you. Not sure if you knew that or not, but
I don't remember a whole lot after that.
I'm the guy that came into the game after you. So I'm shaking in my pants because, something crazy that's a freak. It's a freak accident. That stuff doesn't really happen like that.
Yeah.
But speak on, what may have gone through your mind once you came to and realized what happened. Speak on that whole incident and how you were able to bounce back from it.
Well, unfortunately, it didn't completely knock me out. So I actually remember trying to get up, pushing myself up, and just seeing blood. So I just laid back down and waited for whoever to come out and get me. And I remember the ambulance ride, and it wasn't fun. The paramedics did the best they could, but whenever you get strapped in a neck brace and they throw one of the straps goes across your nose, and I about killed somebody because obviously I was pretty messed up.
Yeah.
With a broken nose and everything. And, you hope for the best. I was, my girlfriend, wife now, she wasn't there. She was back home for that, homestand or whatever. She was usually with me. So you go and you're in the hospital by yourself and you don't know the extent of your injury. You really got a lot of questions, not a whole lot of answers at that point. So it was scary. I stuck around Lynchburg for about, I think 3 or 4 days. I was in my apartment, windows, shades closed, couldn't have any noise because concussion was bad enough to where, my headache was killing me. I get to Pittsburgh. We drive from Lynchburg to Pittsburgh because I couldn't fly. Get to see the doctors in Pittsburgh, and they made me feel more comfortable that I was going to recover and I was going to be fine and everything. And it was just, it was a process. I took it as, kind of things happened. I pitched long enough to where I never had that happen. Hung the curveball to Rogowski, and he did what he was supposed to do. It wasn't his fault. I never saw the ball. It hit me. But then, there's other guys that had pitched before that had been hit, hadn't made it back. So then my mindset was like, I'm proving everybody wrong.
Yeah.
Like I'm coming back as quick as possible. Well, obviously there's certain time frames of, I had surgery. I was in Pittsburgh for a couple weeks, couldn't fly home. So then I get to come home and I couldn't do anything. Couldn't work out, couldn't run, couldn't have a baseball around me, just in case I got hit again. So it was different, but it was good to kind of look at a different perspective.
Yeah, get away from the game a little bit.
Yeah. So, but then, I finally get to that day where it's like, okay, you can start working out. Let's head back to Bradenton. Another time it's like, it's July or whatever, middle of June. Yeah. It's like, all right, well, you haven't been doing anything for 6-7 weeks. So now we got to get you back in shape. And I remember Chris Dunaway, who was our minor league strength guy, he tried to kill me every day of the week. I'm like, Chris, it's 100. Like, I get it. I got to get back in shape, but me dying ain't going to do us no good. And so then I go and then I start throwing and they're like, the first few times I had the net in front of me, I'm like, get the net out of here. They're like, you okay? I'm like, yeah, just get the net out of the way. So I started, and they kept wanting me to talk to, psychologists or whatever. And I'm like, I'm just going to prove you wrong. Like, I don't care. So then I'm smart enough to pitch with double vision for about 6 starts in Hickory because they didn't want to send me back to Lynchburg.
Yeah.
That was where the scene of the crime. And so I go to Hickory, make like 6 starts. I got like a 10 ERA. They're in the playoff hunt and I'm out there just getting tattooed. And we got double vision. So finally I fessed up on that and the team wasn't happy.
Yeah.
But I got that fixed. And then after that, I was just, it was time to just get back to baseball.
Definitely, man. Having that bulldog mentality, that helps you obviously come back and you want to be out there to prove everybody wrong, that you be right. You get back out there as quickly as possible, but also to prove something to yourself and how strong-willed you are. Because that's crazy psychologically. It can take you either way. And just the process of coming back. And yeah, you got some time away from the game, but you were doing something that you've always done since the age of 5, 6, 9, whatever it was. And then now, for whatever reasons, because of this accident, I cannot go out there and do what I love doing. It can take a toll on you as well. But you managed to stay strong, show the family, a wifey, they were in your corner supporting you, keep you in that positive frame of mind. You was able to bounce back and finish out the season. Maybe not the way you would have liked, but as from the time that it happened till the time you step back on the mound, that wasn't a very long period of time. You was able to get back out there and start competing again. So, you move it along. 2004 was kind of that roller coaster season with the incident. You go to Double-A in 2005 and pretty much back to normal, back to being Paul Maholm when it comes to your psyche, your vision, and just your will to compete with teammates again in Altoona. And you're balling out, having a good year in a strong league, a lot of prospects in that league. Did you play, was it the Futures game you played in, or was it some other game in Cooperstown as well that you played in?
That year I went to the Futures game right before I got called up to AAA. Yeah, I remember that, playing well, man. And before we jump into that season, we will jump into that season, but you're faced with some more adversity in 2005. Yeah. Man, just talk about that year and how were you able to just kind of stay positive and stay strong after yet another bout with adversity? It was tough just because pitching well, you're on the road. I get a phone call, my mom passes. And so then I obviously have to fly home and deal with everything. And she had been sick for a long time. So it's one of those ones where it's a blessing in disguise. She wasn't hurting anymore. She'd had cancer. But you don't have your mom. So then I go to the Futures game and that was my first time back on the mound, but I knew that was the last conversation we had. And so it was great. It was something, I was back to baseball. That was just kind of the avenue that got me back to normal. So it was good, but it sucked. She never got to see me pitch in the big leagues. But like I said, it was a blessing in disguise. Technically, I guess, she wasn't suffering, but it was definitely, I'm a mama's boy. Obviously now it's emotional.
Of course, man. Hey, bro. I was skeptical to bring it up, but it's a part of your story. Yeah, it's a part of your story, man. And I know how it feels to lose a mom. I lost my mom years back as well, but you could never see it on you, though, man. Like you was always able to strap it up and take care of business, man. And to go through that and to have that, especially somebody that encouraged you to do certain things. She's the reason you went to college. Instead of signing the contract and stuff like that. But you were able to deal with it and stay strong and not really get set back from the standpoint of performance on the field. I can't stress enough how strong of a person you are when it comes to the mental side of things, man. But you go over to the futures game, you're dealing with that with your mom and things like that. Just speak on from that time moving forward. How did you approach your business on the baseball field?
Just my escape, kind of. It was being in the locker room, being around everybody was adorable. That was, if you're on no matter what minor league team you're on, you're close to pretty much everybody on there So it was good to be around the guys and have the support of everybody, coach and staff, Altoona, the front office. So that was just getting back to normal. And I just knew I had to get back to pitching and move on. And I could deal with, whatever, when the hours I was away from the field type of deal.
Yeah. I could say you dealt with it pretty well, man, just on the outside looking in, because everything took off from that point. Not that it wasn't going or trending in the right direction, but, you go from 04 with the line drive, bouncing back, 05 the setback with moms. And then later that year, you're in the big leagues, man. Everything came full circle. In less than 3 months, when you look at you fully coming back from the injury, pitching in the futures game, going up to AAA for that short stint. Now I'm in the big leagues, man. How? And obviously your mind didn't have time to wonder because everything from the baseball side was moving pretty fast. So speak on that call. You're in AAA with Trent Jewett, man. That staff with him and Andy. And who was the hitting coach? Was Bam Bam the hitting coach in 05 in AAA?
I think Bam Bam was. I'm trying to remember. It was Trent. Well, so Andy was in AA.
Oh, that's right. Yes, he was.
Knowlesy
was in 05. That's
Knowlesy
right.
was Indy.
That's right.
And I want to say it was Bam was the hitting coach. And it was, going to AAA was obviously an experience in itself because you've gone through. You get the older guys that are trying to make their way back up that have already been to the big leagues, and you get your youngsters, and then you got your guys that are kind of lifers that, they've made it through. They're making good money in AAA to play, keep playing, and they're going to get called up and go back and forth. So it's just a good mixture, and you got to keep your, my mindset was, you don't like it, play better, type deal. So I can't complain about my situation if I'm not pitching well. So I went there and I just kind of, kept my head down and got to talk to some older guys and figure out, because that's another jump. You're going to where ground balls are hit a little bit harder, quicker game. So then it made the jump to the big leagues a little bit easier, but it was still, a mind blown experience to get when Trent calls me in and he's like, hey, you're heading up. We're in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, you're heading up. Said, we can't say anything. You can call your parent, you can call family, but they hadn't decided who's, you take somebody's spot. So they was like, they haven't decided. So I can't say anything to anybody really. They told me after the game. So I just kind of grabbed my bag and, everybody in AAA knew. So I go tell my wife, and we drive from Columbus to Pittsburgh. I get to Pittsburgh, I'm just waiting in the hotel room. Like, all right, you can come to the stadium. Like, all right.
So stand by.
Yeah. And so, until you walk into the stadium and sign your deal, you're not technically called up. You're close.
Yeah.
So I walked in, and we ended up getting rained out my debut. So it was supposed to be in Pittsburgh. Got rained out, so then we had to go to Milwaukee. And the day that I'm making my debut is the day that Katrina is making landfall.
Yeah.
So, I got a house in Ocean Springs at this point on the coast. My wife's family's from down there. So then you're sitting there, which was a great distraction for that day. I wasn't thinking about pitching, really. Yeah. I'm sitting there staring at the TV, watching the news, seeing, where it's hitting, what's going on and all that. And the bad part, we had cell phones from the coast. So like my wife drives from Pittsburgh to Milwaukee, and we can't even call each other because just how the phones were set up.
Yeah. So
I guess it was just a usual day. I guess that's how my couple years have gone. So it was, but it was, then I make my debut and we're up, I think 5-0 before I got my first at bat before my first pitch thrown. So, and I'm up 5-0 and I still didn't make it to the plate. My first pitch, I went about 52 feet and just spiked it. Cause your first pitch in the big leagues is, your mind's just racing.
Oh yeah.
So it was, it was a long year, but it was obviously very satisfying and rewarding to get called up and get to spend the last 5-6 weeks with the big club and kind of get your feet wet.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Just listening to you, all of this stuff that has come your way, you've been able to battle through. Katrina being the last of that year, which was bizarre. I was still in Altoona. I was going to go home before I go to instructs into the fall league, and we couldn't even travel because of the highways and stuff like that. I went straight to Bradenton instead of going back to Louisiana. So, it was a bizarre time for a lot of us, in 2005 at that time. But, you go there, man, you pitch well, your debut, finish out the season. Well, you were in the big leagues from that time moving forward. So, did you have to dress up at the end of that year, or was it the following year?
Oh yeah, no, I got dressed up twice. So I had to wear a Speedium Hooters outfit from Pittsburgh to LA.
Oh wow.
And we had a big rookie class. There's probably 12 of us or so. We got dropped off about a mile from the hotel. So we had to walk through LA in a Hooters outfit. So it was,
oh man.
Next year was almost nothing. They kind of felt bad for me because I was like, however they did the classification, I was like right there. And I was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
And so I got to wear like our gym shorts and a t-shirt and some stupid thing over it. And whatever. That wasn't bad.
Yeah. We were teammates again that year, 06, because I got called up that year, but I was Elvis that year. I remember that. So it was kind of cool. But they didn't make us walk. I don't think we had to walk that year.
We were from San to somewhere that time. I don't know. Maybe Chicago. But we get in Chicago at like 3 a.m. whenever you do that. So
yeah, nobody's there to even see anything. But, the second year we had to walk through. You wasn't part of that. I was. But we had to walk Michigan Ave. But, man, you have that year, 05. 06, you come back and do the same. You having that mentality, going out there and competing, pounding the zone, throwing strikes, all of that. That's what kept you around because organizations know if I know what I'm going to get from this guy, then, I feel trust in putting the ball in his hand. What do you credit that to, your mentality out there, as far as when you're saying the outs and out, I don't care how I get it. That's what I'm paid to do, and that's what I will do. Talking and getting to know you obviously a little bit more, that's been your mentality through life, seemed like. And how were you able to transition that onto the baseball field?
I think it was just something, I figured, I will say that I was stubborn. There was times I took the ball and my goal every year, I would say, was going to make 33 starts and I'm going to try and get to as close to 200 innings as I possibly can. And, you know, to me, you can't sit there and walk a bunch of people. I had more walks than I probably should have. But I'm going to try and get ground balls, and I'm going to try and go, and I'm going to get the, you know, we had good defense with Jack at short, and Freddie played second, and, you know, depending on who was at first. So we had a good overall infield defense. So it's like, let's just go ahead and try and see as, you know, I wasn't a strikeout guy.
Yeah.
And just make them put the ball on the ground. And that was my mentality. I think that was the same time as, you know, the Padres, instead of putting K's up, I think they put Q up. And if it was a out and 3 pitches or less.
Yeah.
So it was something you start thinking about, and it's like, oh, well, I can go deeper in games if I can get some quick outs, or I'm going to give up hits. If I give up a single, then I'm going to try and get it over play. So it was, you know, that was my mindset was, you know, obviously there's certain times it depends on who's up and you go for strikeouts or, you know, do whatever. But my mindset was, I'm trying to get you out in 3 pitches or less.
Sure. That was the mentality. One of my pitching coaches, I don't know if you remember Scott Emerson. That was one of his things that he stressed. I think he might have left when you got there.
I think he was right.
Yeah, so he stressed that as well. Just get him out of there early, 3 pitches or less, try to make something happen. And you did that. Obviously, if you didn't do it, you wouldn't stick around. Nowadays, though, man, you might be a strikeout guy with all the strikeouts in baseball.
Yeah.
Right now, man, it's bizarre.
I'm pretty sure there was a reason that I wouldn't say that I retired in 2015, but I was pretty much kind of for like, hey, you throw 88 and get a bunch of ground balls. These guys are throwing 97. So it was starting to transition then. So I had the best spring of my career and got cut. I'm like, hey, I had kind of, you know, come to terms with that, you know, earlier, but that was kind of where it was trending. And I don't understand the game now. I don't understand the analytics. I don't understand. Like I said, outs and out. I don't care how you.
Exactly. It's interesting now. I'm on the other side, and I was stubborn as well, but I'm starting to adopt some of those things when it comes to analytics. I think a lot of it's too much. Number one, but it's some of the same stuff we stress, minus all of the science. We were able to keep things in layman terms. Now it's all scientific terms and big words that, if you took the time out to really think about it and break it down, you're going to figure out what they're talking about.
Yeah.
It's a matter of being able to read these grids and charts and all of that other good stuff that makes you not want to get involved with it. But it's kind of cool, man. And I keep it to a minimum, just, you know, with that whole deal, and just try to go a feel and, you know, the eye test, you know, what we came up on and knowing the game from that standpoint. But, man, you're trending, man. You're having some good years with the Pirates. And I forgot to ask earlier, you know, coming up, you were a first rounder, so I don't know if somebody did that for you or not, but was there any guy on the team that kind of, you know, wrapped his arm around you and kind of molded you and brought you up and bought like your first suit or first couple of suits?
Matt Morris, that was, I think 2000.
That was 07. 2007 came over.
06, you know, a bunch of us were just young. I mean, it was, you know, on the staff, we were just young. We were trying to learn. So whenever we traded for Matt, he was the first veteran really that kind of took me under his wing and taught me more and more how to prepare, how to do stuff, bought me my first suit, and all that. You know, it's getting later in my career being around other pitchers. I wish that, you know, we had that when we first came up, just because I felt like I learned so much from him, and he got cut early in 08. And I just feel like that was something, you know, that was missing. And that was part of, you know, almost why we didn't make that jump as a whole, as a team. That was just something I think that we missed on. And, but I really enjoyed being around Matt. Still, every once in a while, I hadn't called him in a while, but, you know, he's a guy that, you know, like molded you, and, you know, I kind of owe a lot in my career and how I took off a little bit later and pitched better to him. Definitely, man.
You hit the nail right on the head, you know, being part of that staff, whether I was starting some games on the bullpen. We didn't have that veteran leadership as a whole, as a squad, especially as a pitching staff, Matty Moe brought that to the table, albeit towards the end of the season and part of the next season. That was the thing that was missing with so many arms that were talented. And a lot of guys pitched for a long time, but I think a lot of guys were able to do that because they were talented enough to make it happen. Mentality was huge. That's what those veterans bring to the table, and just being able to take care of yourself and stuff like that. But shout out Matty Moe, man. I remember Matt Morris, man. Nice guy, able to turn the switch on and off when he's on the field. Two different people, but overall, good dude, man. Got you your first suit, man. I remember Sean Chacon got my first suit for me. First tailored suit. Solomon Torres got me my first suit. Burlington Coat Factory. I remember going over there and getting the suit from him, with him. But, you're starting, like I said, you're starting to hit the trail and establish yourself as one of those guys that the Pirates can depend on going out there every fifth day. How did that make you feel when you started settling in? Were you ever settled, or were you always at that point to where, man, I'm going to continue to pitch with a chip on my shoulder? I know nothing is going to be given to me. I got to earn every bit of it.
I think there's a happy medium. You kind of get established. You know you're going to have the ball every fifth day. So you're able to get in the routine. You're able to relax just a little bit. But there's always somebody trying to take your job.
Yeah.
As a starter, there's only 150 of them in the world. So that was my mentality was, hey, I was lucky enough to pitch well, them to give me a chance because somebody else, either got hurt or did whatever. So I was going to try and stay healthy, take the ball every fifth day, no matter what, and pitch as well as I can because there is that other person that wants your job. So that was always my mentality. And that was what I would always tell, once I got a few years in, whenever a younger guy would come in, that's what I like, hey, you're here, but somebody else wants your job just like you just got it. So remember, whenever you're coming here and you're doing your work or you're doing, scouting reports or talk, ask questions, you're not, you're learning still. I was learning in my last outing of my career. Definitely. So you're always learning.
But like you say, grooming some of them youngsters kind of like yourself, once you became established but not fully comfortable, you always knew somebody was behind you trying to take that spot. But you're able to spend 6+ years in Pittsburgh, 7 years or whatever it was in Pittsburgh. Was it bittersweet when you transitioned and moved on to Chicago, or was it something that was like, you know what, I did all I needed to do here. It's time for me to explore a different avenue and see where it could take me?
It was a little bit of both. I ended 2011 hurt, which is the first time I'd ever gone on DL. We started out great that year and going to the All-Star break, I think we were in first place. We were right there. And I had pitched for 6 weeks with a bad shoulder. But like I said, I'm stubborn and that was my job. I was going to take the ball every fifth day. And, I ended up getting hurt and not being able to come back. And that was my first DL stint. So it was kind of bittersweet because I think we might have ended on the road. I don't know what happened, but I ended up leaving because I was hurt. So I had to go. I just came back home and rehab with Dr. Andrews twice a week, 3 times a week down in Florida. And so it was just weird me leaving to the season and knowing that was probably my last time to ever walk out of PNC as a Pirate. So that was bittersweet. But then going through free agency, seeing what was out there, and then getting to the Cubs was, it was different just because you were so used to, one clubby, essentially, one training staff, but it was good just to get around a different group of guys and, different staff, different coaches. And like I said, I always tried to learn from everybody. So it was something that was definitely helped me in my career later.
Definitely, man. I don't know if you enjoyed pitching in that stadium with the wind blowing out 100 miles per hour on a given day. Yeah. I mean, being a visiting squad, we know we had to deal with that a lot going to Chicago, but playing in a legendary stadium for a legendary organization, different type of mentality where you might have more veteran guys. You're a veteran at that time, but you have even guys with a little bit more skin in the game playing in Chicago at the time. A different vibe, different atmosphere, especially with Wrigleyville and the way the fans are out there. I'm sure that was something you enjoyed, being on that side, on the good side of things. Now, how long did you spend with Chicago, and then from there, was it Atlanta or LA?
Well, so I signed I guess technically more or less a 2-year deal with Chicago, but I got traded on the day before the deadline of my first year. We were way back. That was whenever the Cubs were still rebuilding. Swain was the manager. And then Theo and Jed had just gotten there that year. So it was great to pitch there. I love Chicago. I got to be around some older guys that established. Dempster, Kerry Wood retired in the middle of that year, so I got to be around Kerry. So it was, veteran, Alfonso Soriano, one of the funnier, guys that you can have in the clubhouse. So it was good, and I was there for 4 months, and then I got traded to the Braves and got a year and a half in Atlanta. So it was, they're just kind of obviously being in Pittsburgh for 6+ years and then kind of starting to jump around a little bit, but getting traded to Atlanta and that was whenever I started being on winning teams. And, it's winning. It's a lot more fun to win than it is to lose. So
for sure,
it makes it a little easier to come to the ballpark, and obviously getting there and being in a pennant race and all that was different, but it was great to be able to pitch in also.
Definitely. And then you said your childhood idol, Tom Glavine, he wore that Braves uniform for a very, very long time. So you was able to strap on that same uniform for a bit pitching with Atlanta. So I know that had to kind of, boost a lot of that confidence and things of that nature up for you, and made it easier for you to go out there and compete on a daily basis. You was given the baseball, but Atlanta spending that time, you said the first time you're on a team that were winners or playing at a high level and consistently winning ball games. That time there, that year and a half was great. And then you go on to LA, your first time maybe kind of splitting and being that swing man starting, coming out of the bullpen. What type of adjustments did you have to make at that time? Because you wasn't that guy that was going to get the ball every fifth day. You would get the ball as a starter, then maybe come out of the pen, and then you finally settled into somewhat of a bullpen role with the Dodgers.
It was different. Whenever you're, used to starting for 9 years, you got a routine. You're in the bullpen. And I tried to tell him, hey, it's going to take me a little bit longer than the rest of these guys to get loose. I'll try and figure something out. I'll, maybe throw the outfielders in between innings or something just to make sure my arm's loose. And I don't know if I ever got the mindset of a reliever. So relievers are different.
It's tough.
You get thrown into some stuff.
Yeah.
And, it was good. It was being, I got to start early in the year because Kershaw got hurt. And so I'm like apologizing to the fans. I'm like, hey, I know I'm not Kershaw. And I know you'd rather have Kershaw out here, but I'm going to do my best. So, but being around Kersh, Greinke, Josh Beckett, Dan Herron, Ryu, the staff at the Dodgers was, Mattingly, McGuire, Davey Lopes, Honeycutt. Honeycutt, I wish I was around Honeycutt early in my career.
Yeah.
Because the stuff that I learned, my last year of my career, I felt like my stuff was getting better because of certain things or mindset that he pitched for 20+ years and it was half relieving, half starting. So he was something that was big for me, and also being around Kersh and Greinke and talking to them. And those guys are another level of pitchers, and it was just fun to be in a locker room. And then obviously with that payroll, the position players were,
of course.
You watch, you're not shagging BP. You're just standing there watching them hit homers. It was a whole nother experience.
I'm sure it was. And being in LA, a great place to play. Chavez Ravine, just the allure of that, man, and being able to strap it on and play at that stadium for half the year. is an experience in itself. And, you know, I guess, I mean, good and not so good, you know, to end your career in a situation like that. But to end your career at that time when you say you were thinking 10 years in, basically, man, I'm starting to turn a corner with some things. I could probably pitch for another 5, 7, 8 years. But like you said, the game started to move in a different direction. And they're bringing in guys, velocity guys, and all of that stuff. And then you suffer another little setback, right? You have another little injury around that time as well, right?
Yeah, first base got me. You know, I'm a little older at this point and trying to beat a 22-year-old at first base. I beat him, but first base got me. I tore my ACL, and that was in my year for the Dodgers. So I rehabbed and stuck around the team, and you know, we clinched and won the division pretty easily and everything. And then that was whenever, you know, I transitioned into went with the Reds, hoping to, you know, come back as a starter. You know, coming off an ACL tear, just trying to go to spring training and prove I'm healthy, which I proved I was healthy. Like I said earlier, you know, my best spring of my career. You know, I was starting some games, I'd come in relief in other games, but I gave up. I think, you know, I only threw like 13 or 14 innings. I only had like a couple strikeouts, but also I had like 2 fly balls. So I had like 37 ground outs and 40 out of 40 outs or something like that.
Yeah.
So I felt like, well, I mean, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And then you get, you know, the old tap on the shoulder and you get called in, and it was a good meeting. They said, you know, I had an open invitation to go to AAA pretty much for that entire year. I had a bunch of offers to go to other places for AAA. But I always told myself I wasn't going to be the bitter veteran that goes back down to AAA and ruins it for a younger guy. And I just wasn't in that mindset. And at that point, my son was about to turn 7. I just kind of felt like I needed to be home, and I transitioned into dad. And that's been, and, you know, it was, people ask me like, you know, do you miss him? I'm like, no. You know, I was good when I left. I told my agent, I said, once I got to tap on the shoulder, I knew it was going to happen because that was my day. I either had to be put on the roster or cut.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, I'm leaving Phoenix in about an hour in my car. And if I don't have a big league offer by the time I get to Mississippi, then I'm not leaving Mississippi. And of course, he's like, you know, hey, just give me some time. I'm like, all right, so I'm letting you know. And I stuck to it. And that was the last time I actually picked up baseball as a competitor. And, you know, now I'll play catch with my kid or help out with something. But my shoulder was about to go too. So I wasn't about to spend another 18 months rehabbing a shoulder surgery. So that's, like I said, it was a great career, and I understood it was time for me to be dad and husband and venture into hopefully doing some community stuff around here. And we've done some good stuff.
No doubt, man. You was rolling till the wheels fell off, right? You wasn't about to put that dummy tire on there and try to make it a little bit further, bro.
I was already smoking mirrors. I don't think the shoulder surgery was gonna. I mean, most guys don't come back throwing harder from a shoulder surgery. So
indeed not, man. You be flipping it in there, throwing an ethos pitch every time out there. But I mean, it's a great career, man, and the fact that you're okay with shutting it down at a time where you said, if not for that injury, you would turn that corner on a different level when it came to you pitching. It's tough, man. Everybody's different though when you're talking about athletes. It's tough to shut it down, especially if you think you still got something left to give to the game. But you were on a different level when it came to that, and I can commend you for that. Being retired, being a dad now, you know, raising your family continuously. What's some other things you're doing now since you've been out of the game? You mentioned the community service. Recently inducted into the Mississippi State Hall of Fame. Congrats on that. I saw the pictures and stuff like that. Well deserved, man. You did a lot for that program. What's some other things you're doing, or share some of the community service things that you're doing out at the crib?
Well, about 3.5 years ago, me and a partner bought Hattiesburg Country Club. So I own a country club. my golf game's gotten worse since I've owned the country club because too much stress when I go over there. So I play with buddies at another course, but on there trying to turn it around and make it, it used to be a huge success. So we're doing well there. Probably a month after I got home, 2 police officers in Hattiesburg were shot and killed, and we started a charity, Chip In for Heroes. That we did it for 3 years or 4 years. We took last year off with the pandemic. We hosted a golf tournament and raised money for a first responders family that, we've had. The first year we did a scholarship under those Dean and Tate's, Officer Dean and Tate's name. We've helped out, a firefighter that had a bunch of burns, another firefighter that's daughters had a bunch of surgery. So just trying to financially help them any way we can is obviously they put their lives on the line for us on a daily basis, and stuff like that. And then I'm still doing some stuff with Brad Henderson, Pittsburgh Kids Foundation, gone over Haiti a few times, just trying to help out there, and gotten to go over there with Wainwright and his organization doing stuff in Haiti. So trying to stay busy, but my 5 and 13-year-old keep me going in opposite directions. So it's a full-time gig, but it's fun.
Definitely, man. I mean, you're doing something to occupy that time. I'm sure you're spending some time on a golf course, like you said, but not at your own course, because your game is not very good over there. But it's always
more stressful. I go over there, but it's more stressful.
Yeah, that's understood. It takes you away from what your focus is. But to say you're giving back, and it wasn't just about playing sports for you. Obviously, now that you're done, you have more time to spend with family, more time to help your community, as well as others around the world. Have to commend you for that, man. It takes a lot to do that. And it takes a loving and understanding family to allow you to do that, or to be able to understand what it is that you're doing. And I'm sure they're lending a hand when they can to help with those things as well. Man, before I let you go, man, I have some other questions, some quick hitters I want to throw it at you and see what your responses are. And you did mention Brad Henderson, former trainer with the Pittsburgh Pirates, right? That's who you're talking about.
No, Brad, the chaplain.
Oh,
Brad Henderson. Yeah, we have Brad Henderson, the chaplain. That's the Pittsburgh Kids Foundation. Brad Henderson, the trainer. Cat's in St. Louis doing some stuff. I talk to him every once in a while.
Okay, cool, man. I saw Dr. Snell a week ago there in Pittsburgh as well, and Frankie V. I ran into him as well in Pittsburgh. But man, this was an enjoyable time, bro. But I'm not gonna let you go yet. We could go on and on. We could go into the college even more, pro ball even more, but we're not gonna do that, man.
You don't want to go into who you lost to in the SEC tournament.
Oh man, I started that game. I don't even want to talk about that.
I started that game too.
I know.
I saw it on Skip's on the documentary. So I'll
man,
like that.
That's how I made the documentary, being a losing pitcher in the SEC championship.
his last game in the SEC.
Man, that's me. I got the L for that, right? That's terrible, man. Thanks for reminding me. Now I'm gonna go crawl in the corner.
It was a great game. You're good.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna go crawl in the corner and cry now, bro. But yeah, man. Before I let you go, bro, 5 quick ones, man. 5 quick ones, and I'm gonna let you go. City or stadium you enjoyed playing in the most? City or stadium, or both?
City that was the best was San Diego.
Yeah.
Overall, stadium would be PNC Park.
Yeah. PNC is classic.
Yeah.
I can't argue with that, man. Team or player you hated to face?
Well, whenever I was in Pittsburgh, it was the Brewers, because we never beat them.
No.
And then, I guess, I'll just say the Brewers. I was always bitter, I guess.
Yeah.
I won't name any players.
No players. I got you. Who did you enjoy facing? What about a team you was like, okay, I got to start against these guys. It's going to be a good day.
Well, it's weird because I think whenever I was with Pittsburgh and Chicago, I always pitched really well against Atlanta. So, because whenever I got to Atlanta and we were going for the wild card, or we were going for the division, we were 2 back, and they had traded for me that year. I'm like, we're like the last week, and I'm walking down the tunnel, and somebody brings it up. I'm like, man, if only y'all could have beat me twice this year. We'd be tied right now, because I went 2-0 against them before. So that would be.
Gotcha, Atlanta.
Yeah.
All right, baseball card or video game? When you saw yourself on that baseball card or the video game, which one kind of like,
Probably the video game, because you get a couple, when you're in the minors, you have some cards.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's cool. But when you make the video game,
Yeah. You like playing video games. So
yeah, exactly.
So for sure. I get that. 2 more for you, Paul, man. I got 2 more for you, and I'm going to let you go.
All right.
Any superstitions while you were playing?
Oh, yeah. Well, I always started getting ready pretty much the same time. I would say that was a routine.
Gotcha.
Not really a superstition. My superstition was if there was a Moe's place around. So like in Pittsburgh, I had a couple Moe's close by. I'd always eat Moe's for lunch. So that was my, and I would, my wife knows if we were in a different city, there was one within 30 minutes, we were going to Moe's to eat lunch. I had to go. That was just, I think I did it a couple of times. I pitched good. I'm like, I'm going to Moe's every time now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be a superstition.
We'll stick with that. I got you. I'm going to save a good one for last, man. I don't know. Maybe you need some time to think about it, and maybe you answered it already, but perhaps not. So I'm going to ask it anyway.
All right.
Favorite athlete of all time?
Well, Glavin's my baseball player. There's a bunch of athletes. I'm a golf guy, so I was always a Phil Mickelson, Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
But I would say the one that I would say would be Tom Glavine.
Gotcha. That's easy enough. I know you answered that question earlier, but sometimes that might change when you're looking at, the time we grew up. There was a lot of superstar athletes back then that were doing a lot of great things.
You had your different sports. I don't really follow, I'm not like I'm a Saints fan now because I live close enough. So, but I'm a Drew Brees. I was a Peyton Manning. I'm a Brett Favre fan.
Gotcha.
Stuff like that. Guys that, were great players, but make an impact, in the cities and stuff like that.
For sure. Hey, bro, Paul Maholm, bro. It was a pleasure taking the time out to share your story and to take us on that journey to the big leagues and the time you spent in the big leagues with multiple teams, man. Much love, man. Continued success with you, man. I know you're doing great things in your community, for your family, for yourself. Continue to do that, man. And again, I appreciate you hopping on the podcast and sharing those things with us.
Sure. Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure. Hopefully we can catch up.
For sure, man. For sure.
Yeah,
I have to make that trip to Mississippi.
Yeah, keep molding the youngsters and get them going. So
they're driving me crazy right now. Going bald and got all kind of gray hair in my face.
Hey, that's called just getting mature, and you got that dad strength.
For sure, man. Again, bro, I appreciate it. This is the League Talk Podcast, and we're out of here.